loves, it's Emmy. Welcome back to my channel. So this is the next installment of Witchin Stitchin and Bitchin. And I believe it is number 3? I can't remember. 3 or 4, I don't know. I'll figure it out. We'll just say 3. So the last time we were here, I was doing kind of like a bunch of book reviews. So if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns about any of those books, please let me know. Feel free to send me a message on Instagram or comment down below. If you want to know like where to find them, just more if you want more information on them, whatever. And I'd be more than happy to help you with that. So today I want to go over your Book of Shadows, which is, pause, back up. So welcome to Witchin Stitchin and Bitchin. My name's Emmy, if you are new here. If you are new, welcome. I'm so happy you're here with me. If you're returning, welcome back. So glad that you're returning. So this is a channel, or I guess a series of videos that I'm doing in addition to my traditional FOSS2 videos. To be honest with you, these have been a little bit easier to film because I haven't been able to stitch very much, which I'm bummed about. And yeah, it needs to change. So hopefully my school is kind of on the the cusp of being back to relatively normal, and job-wise, there's been some stuff. So I'll go over that in my next Stitch With Me. I think I'm going to try to do a Stitch With Me tomorrow, and at least just get some kind of stitching in. But anyways, so this is a channel. I am very open about it. I am pagan. I am a practicing witch, and I love talking about it. I think it's really fun. I think other people are relatively interested about it. And so I thought I would share my experiences, my knowledge. It is nowhere near the, maximum amount of knowledge you can have. It's just fun for me, and I like talking about it. I like breaking kind of that stigma of what paganism is not, but usually is classified and defined by. Also, don't mind my nails. I really need to get them filled. So, here we go. So, we're going to talk about your Book of Shadows today. And we're going to this is going to be the first video. I may couple a few different videos together. My plan was to do kind of one on like a witch's tools. But I feel like a Book of Shadows and a grimoire kind of needed their own. Everything else, you can totally kind of lump into one video, but this is something that I just wanted to spend a little bit more time on because, So, a grimoire and a Book of Shadows are essentially the same thing. So, your Book of Shadows is essentially your spiritual journey in a written form. So you would write out correspondences in your Book of Shadows. You would write out spells that you have done, and ingredients lists. And by correspondences, I mean, colors and herbs and phases of the moon and different types of divination and information that you would potentially need in order to, do your craft, basically. It is a big book of information, basically. It is very personal, though, and that's why if you ask a witch if you could see their Book of Shadows, some people are very hesitant to show you. And it's because they're very personal. A lot of people's Books of Shadows are very current with kind of what's going on in their life at that time. So you can have spells or rituals or any sort of divination, which would be, tarot cards or oracle cards, crystal ball gazing, scrying, and, looking at candle wax, runes, those are all forms of divination. And so it's very personal. It is, in a Christian sense, I would say that your Book of Shadows is your connection to your higher power. So in a Christian world, your Book of Shadows would be almost like the relationship that like your pastor has with God. It's a connection. This is all of the workings that you have done in order to be spiritual and live a spiritual life. Also, guys, I'm all made up today, guys. I had to work, so that's why. But anyways, so I thought I'd show you a bunch of different ones that I have. If I could tell you one thing about how my craft has evolved over the past 10 years, it is that don't be a perfectionist. I have started at least 12 different books of shadow. I have done 3 or 4 pages in them and then stopped because one thing wasn't perfect. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I have to start over. There is a YouTube channel. I believe her name is Her Speak. And I'll try to find it. And the title of this video is like Rock Your Book of Shadows or Rock Your Grimoire. I can't remember what it is. But basically, she just goes through and she just lays out. And she's like, don't be afraid to mess up. That's part of the process. And it's a lot of, I think, what like being an artist feels like. It's like if you mess up, you mess up. That's okay. If you are not going to do something, if you're not going to write on beautiful pages of a hand-bound book because you're afraid you're going to mess up, that's a waste for you to buy that hand-bound book. Does that make sense? So, for instance, my dad and his wife bought me a thick book. It's like this wide, and it's literally about this. I mean, it's a big book, but the pages are really thin in it. It's just like kind of like a traditional sketchbook. And I was like, oh my gosh, this would be so cool to use as like a family Book of Shadows, right? Like this would be so cool. But as I started thinking about it, I was like, well, one, the pages are kind of thin, so I couldn't use like markers or ink on them because it would just bleed right through. So I'd have to use pencil or colored pencil. And as much as I love colored pencil, we'll see. So then I had a thought of making that book, but making it like junk journal-esque. So adding pages to it, but then I was like, okay, this might make it like gigantic. So we'll see. I still have it. It's in my closet. And I'll show it to you guys one of these days. But, okay, so I wanted to just like show you guys a couple different ones that I have or that I bought to be like, oh, that could be a cool little Book of Shadows. Okay, so the first one is, very traditional. You can just have a spiral notebook. There are people that totally just have spiral notebooks, and that's what they use. They're easy, they're accessible. You're never not gonna find one. That's the other thing I think people don't really, they get really nervous about, well, if I fill this one up, then I'm gonna have to go find the exact same one. It's like, no. You bought that one at the time in your life when you started this craft or you were halfway through your craft. So your style is going to change a little bit. If you are a person who very much likes having the same kind of Book of Shadows for your working practice, this is something that my mom got me for Christmas last year. And it is a local artisan. She got it at the holiday market here in our town. And it is leather. And it's totally like 3D-esque. There's a little bead, like dragon eye right there. Coolest thing about this is when you open it, it has that little clasp on there. And this is just the cover. So it fits. It's kind of tight because I haven't taken it off. But anyways, I'll just show you guys. So it's just a book cover. So the inside book here is just like a traditional little, I don't know what size this is, like from Michael's. So the point is, if you like it looking all fancy and you like the fact that like this is, you know, this denotes whatever book is in here is your current book of shadows, then I would recommend getting something like this. Getting something that you could take off and on, or just getting like a black sketchbook. Like that's what's in here. It's just a plain black sketchbook. They're available all the time, everywhere. I know people that use composition notebooks because they know at least every fall they can get another one for super cheap. So it's all about whatever is nice to you. There are some people who completely keep electronic book of shadows and they don't have anything physical. So they would either use like their phone or their iPad if they were to do some kind of working. Some people are really anti-electronics like when you're doing workings, but again, if it works for you, then that's what, if you don't have a ton of space to keep giant, you know, stacks of notebooks, then don't do it. So yeah. Another one that I found, it's a little bit bigger, or it's a little bit smaller than this one, but I actually found these at Tuesday morning. They were on sale for like $7. But it is a Delusions, and it's a creative diary, is what they say, but it's basically just a junk journal. So, these pages are fantastic because they're thick. So right when you open it up, there is a little pocket in here if you need it. And then there is like a cover page. So this right here is open, which is awesome. It will lay flat and you don't have to worry about, you know, like binding stuff. So this is a planner, but there are people who like to keep like a record of one thing that they do magical every day. So it would be something like this. Or, you can find these with just blank pages. I liked the planner one. And then all the different pages have some kind of graphic. So it's like a planner page and then some kind of graphic. But the cool thing about this Delusions brand, you can get this at Michael's. I don't know if you can get it at Joann's. I've never seen them at Joann's, but that's because my Joann's much more focuses on fabric. But I know you can get them at Michael's in like the mixed media stuff. Their pages are super thick because it's meant to work with their like dyes and markers, and they do a lot of like spray dyes. And so the pages are super thick and they don't bleed through, which is awesome. Okay. I have a bigger version of this. This one does not have the, well, it's not the planner pages. Also, the manufacturer of this is Ranger. It's Ranger ink. So just if you guys want to know, because I love these. It's the same look, only this one has a big pocket. And then the notebook. But this notebook, can't even get it, is blank. Just cream colored sheets, people. But same kind of thing. And it does have a little elastic. Same kind of thing, though. The pages are fantastic. This would be a book that would just hold up really well. The next one, and this is actually one that I'm currently working on that is more of like a correspondences book, is what I'm calling it. And that's because I'm doing certain things that are corresponding to, you know, like information that I would want. And this is just a moleskin, however you say it. I found a little pentacle sticker. I love this image. I think it's fantastic. And this is just their, I think this was a 9x12, just blank sketchbook. But I'll show you a couple of the pages what I mean by correspondences. So some people, and I am one of them, so I wrote a little book of shadows. Ooh. And this one I don't mind sharing because I don't have any spells in here. This is just, like I said, correspondences. So I have a book blessing in the front of mine, which basically is just something to, so I'll get to. It says, book blessing. Elements protect this book from wandering eyes and prying looks. Fill it with thine ancient power. Ere right and ready in this right and ready hour. Blessed be. And then, so yeah, it's just like one of those, you know, people that shouldn't be looking at it. I don't know. It's not like it's going to magically disappear or go invisible, but like, maybe they just will stop looking. I don't know. Anyways, it's one of those things. So then I put a little, I drew a little thing of the Wheel of the Year, just for like my own knowledge. And then I also had one that was pentagram versus pentacle. And what's the difference? If you want to know the easiest one, a pentacle is the star. A pentagram is encased in a circle. That's it. And then this one I was going to do a little, like a saying or spell or ritual to invoke the elements when you're doing a ritual. And then I had different elements page. So that was air. So I have this is literally just a ton of correspondences that fall along with air. So I have things like clouds, protective energy, tools that it goes by about inspiration, masculinity, spiders, Venus, clear crystals, bats, wind. That all has to do with with air. And then I have earth and fire. So again, just a bunch of different correspondences. And then I haven't finished water yet, but water will go there. I also have sectioned this one off so that I know what I want to do on each page. Because like I said, this is going to be something that I'm just going to fill it up with everything that I think is really important and things that I go back to. So like there's going to be pages that are on different quotes that I like about witchcraft. Let's see. Chakras, different gods and goddesses, kind of like main deities that I usually go to. Different color magic. I did want to try to create like my own creation story, and not like to create my own, but just something that like I wanted to find one that I really liked and that I could get behind, if that makes sense. So different herbs, like common herbs, rare herbs, stones, same kind of thing. Divination. So, you know, one thing about tarot, one thing about runes, pendulums, crystal balls, and then like kind of like Wheel of the Year stuff. So this, yes, this is considered a book of shadows, but it's almost more like a grimoire, because for me, like if someone was to see this or someone was to be like, oh my gosh, let me see this, I wouldn't feel bad letting someone see this. I wouldn't feel like my practice or my spirituality is now like compromised because of it. All of this stuff is just me going through, as you guys saw yesterday or last time, the piles of books I have and funneling it down into that much information versus the plethora of books I have. So that's what this is. Okay. So my book of shadows, I have gone back and forth and back and forth and back and forth on a book of shadows. I found this a couple years ago and I totally fell in love. So it is a coloring book of shadows. It's by Amy Sassari. That's how you say it. And it is literally a coloring book, but it has a ton of correspondences. Like that's the air page. Fire page. So this book was intended to literally just be used as a book of shadows. There's room to write. There is kind of like she goes into, let me see if there's like a title page. Oh, here we go. Okay, so she has spaces for your kind of like what is magic. So your idea of what magic is, what it means to you. She has a couple of different pages where there's just lines where you can write things. She has a whole section on the elements, a section on the pentacle, astrology, moon phases, the wheel of the year, crystals, herbs, potions, spells, and then just some like blank note pages. Here's the thing. This was one of her first ones that she created. She has since created a good deal of this kind of coloring book themed things. She has one that's called Witch Life, that's just a bunch of like cool note pages. She has 2 or 3 different Books of Shadows ones now. She has a planner that you can get that's she comes out with it every year that has correspondences within the planner. She has some specifically for Yule. She has, what else? Grimoire ones. She has a ton of them. So what I have done is I have purchased, and she has them all digitally. So I bought this one, but she also has them all digitally. So I have bought a few. So let's see. I have some of them right here. Yeah, Witchlight. Oh, and then she has a whole Book of Spells one, which is really cool. So, basically, this is my plan. Is as I go along and as I grow, I am going to be filling up this bad boy with her pages. Now, these all have cardstock in them so that they are relatively sturdy, because it's just printer paper. So, yeah, so I have like my philosophy of magic. Can you guys tell I haven't had like any time to do this? Stupid school. She has pages on like my magical journey, which you just, yeah, like you print out and write on. Then she has some that's like the pentacle. I did do my pentacle page because I was watching something. I did my... and then she has like, you know, Wheel of the Year one. So my plan was to basically... Because here's the thing. I love the look of a full bore, you know, journal that is your Book of Shadows. But more often than not, I find myself finding things online, creating really cute little things in PowerPoint, because I love to make curriculum. And so I have all these cute little images and fonts and everything. And so I was like, you know what? This is stupid. Why am I trying to find this beautiful book that does not exist? I am a creative person. I love to draw. I love to color. But I am also not an amazing artist. And so anything that I do, I wouldn't be satisfied with. I love her style. I love the kind of doodle-esque stuff that she does. And so I was like, this is stupid. I found it. Now I just need to figure out how I want to combine it all. So I've taken pages from the planners. I've taken pages from the Witch Life digital book I have. I've taken pages from the Book of Spells, from the Book of Shadows, and just like combined it all to create my basically like my main title pages for my chapters almost in this. So this will eventually be my book of shadows. It'll be a working book of shadows because here's the thing. I am a perfectionist when it comes to certain things. Book of Shadows is one of them. I don't know why, but it drives me crazy if I mess up on it because I feel like I've just like wasted time doing something. So with this, if I don't like it, I can take the page out and I don't have to rip it out and ruin the entire book. So I think this is where I've fallen. I think this is where I'm good for a while at least. And I can just compile stuff. I really like printing things out on the internet and finding really cool quotes and pictures that I just want to accumulate. And eventually I think it'll turn into some kind of little junk journal. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about junk journaling or like smash booking, there was it was called K & Company, and they were around a couple years ago. It was paper crafting, and it was called a smash book. And basically it was a scrapbook-esque journal that you were just supposed to smash stuff into. You're supposed to staple receipts and pictures, but it wasn't like super technical scrapbooking. It was like, this is all the stuff out of my pockets from my trip to New York. Here it is. I'm just going to smash on these pages and we're good to go. It was kind of like a fun, you don't have to be artistic. You don't have to be super creative. You can just put all your stuff down and you get to remember those memories. And junk journaling is kind of the same way. So junk journaling was taking junk, right? Junk mail, recycling things and making a journal out of it and making it kind of like mixed media. And so that was kind of the style that I liked. Well, I might have one actually. I'll show you my like junk journal. This is getting off topic, guys, but I want you guys to kind of see what I'm thinking about in my head, or see what's up in my head, I guess. Okay. So I hadn't finished this, but this is my junk journal. So it started off very skinny, and so like that kind of stuff. So I made pockets that I flipped all this in. This is a magazine. I really liked word searches. Yeah, our trip to Powell's, put all our receipts and all that kind of stuff. All the places we ate at. I printed out pictures of like the Yelp and stuff. I stick those in there. We went shopping. So all the tags and everything I got were there. So this is kind of the thing. Like you can add pictures, but it's just like very simple, scrapbooking / junk journaling. So that's what I mean when I say junk journaling. Yeah. Anyways, that is that. So, like I said, a grimoire is basically the same thing as a junk journal, as a book of shadows. It depends on the people that you ask. I've heard that some people, they like the word grimoire as more of like a pagan thing, and book of shadows as more of a witchy thing. I've heard them both be used interchangeably. I have also heard people categorize them into different things. So like how that one black book that I was showing you guys, to me that screams more of like a grimoire. Because it's like a collection of information for me, and my book of shadows should be a little bit more personal. Because, excuse me. People also have different books for different things. So there are people who have like a book of dreams, book of mirrors, book of moons, People, and especially if you have like little journals where people may have like a book of spells, and that's, again, like, that's the cool thing about it, is that it doesn't matter what you do. If you do something that is totally fine for you, that's awesome. I'm glad it works for you. Some things don't work for me, and so that's what it's going to be. And I feel like I say this a lot, but that's the biggest thing about paganism, the biggest thing about witchcraft, is that in order for you to do it every day, couple times a week, once a year, as long as it's something that you can sustain and it's easy for you to complete and you feel comfortable and fulfilled after you do a ritual or do a spell or just sit outside, that's all that matters. That's really all that matters. One of the reasons why I wanted to do this video today, and Sunday, today the 4th of August, was because today was the day that our local community had our Pagan Pride Day. And I had to work. I had to work a double shift. I had to work both my jobs, basically. So I couldn't go. And I couldn't just not go. But this is I think it's our 4th year. And yeah, it's our 4th year. I'm pretty sure. Maybe it's our 3rd. I don't even know. Anyways, I was one of the 4 people who tried really hard to get it here to our community. I was on the board of directors for it, or I am on the board of directors for it. I planned a lot of it in the past. In the last 2 years, I haven't been able to do that. And last year, I literally was just like, I'll show up and help. I'll be there all day. I'll do whatever you guys need me to do. And this year, I couldn't even go. And it's hard because the people that put it on and the women that I've worked with that have done it in the past are amazing women. But it's been rough. It's been rough because our pagan community, our witchy community, where we live, is very absent. And they're absent for really, in my opinion, really petty reasons. And when we had an influx of people come in who were interested in starting Pagan Pride, so if you have a Pagan Pride Day festival or Pagan Pride Day fair, there's national, recognition that you can get from the national or the Pagan Pride Day festival, or I can't remember, organization. So it's, they have, I don't want to say accredited because that's not the right word, but that's kind of what it is. You go through a process, you apply. There can't be a Pagan Pride Day festival 60 miles, less than 60 miles from each other. So Salem used to have one. Salem, Oregon used to have one, and then a couple years ago they stopped, and then nobody was really having one. And so then when a woman moved up from New Mexico, she had worked on a board of the New Mexico one that she was at, and she was like, I'll totally help start one here in the Willamette Valley. It's a perfect place to have one. Well, we thought. It's just, and I'll say this, I'm already at half an hour, so I'll wrap it up, but I feel like it's something that, as a pagan, as a witch, it's frustrating, because there's so much like community. You get a sense that when you go to a pagan event, when you go to a ritual, when you go to, like a pagan pride day, even when you go to like the country fair, there's places where you just feel like these are my people. These are my people. I love these people. I want to be with these people. Not forever, obviously, but like I'm enjoying my time with these people. That's the vibe that I got at Pagan Pride. That was what we wanted to create. We wanted to create a community where that's the feeling that you got. Like, these are my people. I guess there was a big rift that happened. There was a big incident that happened, way before my time. That, like, they tried to put on some kind of event. Money got stolen. And there was this huge falling out. So, for me, as a relatively new group witch, I was like, well, I'm okay with starting something new. I'm okay with like getting behind this. And I was all into it. And I think a lot of us were that were solitary and we're like, we don't want to like be in a coven. We just want to be around like-minded people. It's like when you go to retreats, right? For stitching, you want to just be around people who, when you say a floss number, they know what you're talking about. When you say, what count is that? They know what you're talking about. That's the same thing. When you go to these festivals and you go to these fairs, you just want to be around people where if you said, blessed be, or, thank the goddess, something like that, it would be reciprocated. We found out very quickly that that wasn't the case in our community, unfortunately. We went, I believe this was our third year, or our fourth year, because I'm going to be honest with you, by the end of it, having to sit through meeting after meeting of like, how can we get more volunteers? How can we get more vendors? How can our performers not flake out on us? How can our vendors not flake out on us? How can we get the word out? Blah, 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 blah. I finally was like, maybe it's not meant to be, guys. It sucks. It sucks that could potentially be an issue, but maybe it's just not meant to be. And I mean, obviously we were like gonna go through with this year's festival, but like I said, it was frustrating. It was frustrating, and then to basically not be able to be there for potentially our last one. It sucked. Yeah. It's and like I said, I was very absent. And so for me, it's like, I felt so guilty because I didn't put in a fraction of the amount of time that the three other women who were absolutely fabulous did. And because I know that the entire event was basically planned by 3 people. And there's vendors, there's schedules, there's presenters, there's sanitation people, there's rental spaces. I mean, it's not huge, but we didn't get paid. We barely broke even. And 90% of the time, I would say, I can't remember if this was the third. Maybe I'm blanking one out. No, this would have been the fourth one. That's right. This would have been the fourth one. So all 3 of them that we've had before, and I guarantee you this one that we had today, we didn't break even. We maybe made a little bit of money, but basically all that does is go right back into the next year's. And I'm talking making money as in like $200, which basically paid for the bucks. So the amount of, and I know the amount of time that went into planning and coordinating everything. And that's why it's, oh, sorry, I was in my, that's why it was so frustrating to me to see and hear and be in the group messages when we would be talking about, like board of directors kind of stuff, to see the amount of hours that these women put in with a guarantee of no return, and have people not come, to have people badmouth it, to have people who are pagan groups in the community, who identify as pagan in the community, not show up. It was frustrating. We have 2 or 3 different pagan groups on Facebook. Like there's like a Pagans of Eugene Springfield, there's a Pagans of Oregon, there's a Pagans of Willamette Valley, there's a Witches of Eugene, there's Willamette Valley Black Hat Society, which is what I'm the admin of it. But I mean, in some of those groups there's like 1,200 people, and a tenth of those people show up. I mean, not a tenth. I mean, there's more than that. But like, that's what's frustrating. And sorry I'm getting on a rant, you guys. I just spent like 9 minutes talking about something that probably all of you do not care about. But that's my experience, and that's why it's important for me to do these videos. Because I think people are scared of it. People are afraid of how they're going to look if they say something that is pagan, or if they ask questions about being pagan or being a witch. And obviously, you guys, I'm fucking over it. I'm over it. I'm over having to defend myself because of something I believe in. It doesn't affect anybody. Like, no one does it affect but myself. And I think there's just still a lot of hate. The last 2/3 years, I was basically in charge of like security during the day of the event, because just in case if we had like protesters or people who were like threatening people, like patrons, like I was gonna be the one who had to like be like, you guys gotta go. I mean, I didn't mind doing it. I volunteered to do it. I don't care. I'll tell them to get the fuck out of there. I don't, but, yeah. So it just, I think a lot of this was built up, and that's why instead of doing a stitch with me, I felt like it was my duty to do, a Stitchin', Witchin', and Bitchin', because yeah, that's all. So if you guys made it to the 43rd minute, thank you guys for watching. Not all of my videos are going to be as gung-ho as that one, but I'm a little amped up. Because I'm interested to see how the event went, and I'm interested to see how people felt about it, and see what next year holds. So, anyways, that is all. Book of Shadows, Grimoire questions, please feel free to send them to me, and I will field them as best I can. And yeah, I do want to try to plan some kind of giveaway, so maybe something coming up, because I do feel like, at least I hope, and I get the sense that people are getting something out of these videos. So the comments are always helpful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Obviously the views are wonderful. That just helps me kind of gauge, is what I'm doing actually getting watched? So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching again, and I may insert some stuff as like I think we're on 3 or 4, I can't remember. So I'll do kind of like a, Witchin' Stitchin' and Bitchin' part 4B, which will be some other tools, or maybe I'll just make that whole another video. Honestly, this one's like 45 minutes, so I think we're good to go. Anyways, I think I've said that like 4 times, but whatever. So I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. Happy stitching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.